Hello, everyone. I would like to thank you on behalf of MC Academy for joining us today. And I would like to apologize on behalf of Professor Adnan Amkhan Baino, who couldn't be with us today. As some of you know, MC Academy is organizing different webinars and live talks on different topics. And Dr. Rainman is leading the cluster on innovation in education. And today we're going to discuss a very interesting topic on empowering people or sending them home. As you know, the legal sector is evolving, technology is expanding, therefore our future is changing as well. So I'll give the floor to Dr. Rainman to discuss this further. And we are really looking forward to hear your insightful ideas and thoughts. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Sana. Yeah, welcome to our webinar today. This is the second one on law and technology we have here in Brussels. I'm very happy to have a wonderful expert panel today. I will introduce them in a minute. I'm here with Laura Amico, who is an intern here at the Academy. He has been researching very hard and preparing this session, and also found the speakers, Professor Lettieri. He discovered you. It was discovery, right? So we have 1 hour altogether, and I would like to structure this in two big parts. The first big part, basically mapping the landscape where we are, and the second one, trying to find answers from all the experts involved in what to do. So just to use the picture on legal technology and jobs, where is the train going, and what can we do to be in it rather than under it? I think that's the main task we have. Let me welcome, first of all, and very excited here, because you're a very highly demanded man, Mr. Bhoopathi. He has written this wonderful book, which is the book which inspired me last year when I was desperately looking for some advice on what to do in this world. Just a few words about myself. My main job is a headhunter, recruiter. So there's lots of people, especially lawyers, coming to me, asking me, all this technology, all this internet platforms, artificial intelligence. What is going on? What is left for me? What will be left for me? And there's uncertainty, security in the market currently, and we are here actually to find some answers, hopefully, on what we can give to people. So I would like basically to ask everybody of you to give a brief introduction, telling a few words about yourself and what you're currently doing and how this relates to our topic today, technology and the job market, especially on lawyers. Mr. Bhoopathi, would you like to start?
Sure, Dr. Costin. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity to be on this panel. I'm really thrilled. My name is Bhoopathi Rapolu. I've been interested, deeply engrossed myself into technology for over 15 years. And my career in information technology, consulting, and predominantly towards building analytics, that led me to work more and more analytics. Then analytics has taken a deeper transition into embedding more automation into it. 30 years back, when we talk about analytics, it was just preparing some reports. But then the data got a massive transformation. We started accumulating, generating more and more data. And in parallel, the computing power is also growing. So the combination of the availability of the data and the growth of computing power has made this magic of automating what is being taught here. So basically the human thinking, the logic behind it, with the conceptualizing new ideas is all being put into an algorithm. So as part of my job, I got an opportunity to take up more and more automation jobs. And eventually for the last 3-4 years, we were working purely on data science projects where the power of machine learning is being used to automate most of the day-to-day business processes. That led to a situation where hundreds of jobs are being threatened. Every project I took up used to eliminate a few hundred jobs. Then I thought, no, there is something serious going on here. And then I invested 2 years of my time to write this book after talking to Fortune 500 companies, CEOs of medium and small companies, startup CEOs, and my own experience in taking up the projects. So it's a heart-touching experience. And out of that, I got to learn a lot from this experience.
Thank you very much. Professor Lettieri, I call you Nikola here. We are on an English call, right? In Italian, it's a very formal, I know. Would you tell us a few words, what you're researching? What we've seen is you've done a CasaNet for the European Union, which is a portal. Maybe you want to mention this in a few words as well.
We don't hear you.
I think you have to unmute you first. Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So I was saying, I'm a researcher. I work in a research institute dealing with public policy analysis in Rome, but at the same time, I teach legal informatics and computational social sciences in a law school in the University of Benevento in the south of Italy. Just to be clear, I have a legal background like you. Probably I've been also a lawyer for a short while, but without practicing, basically probably just to pay taxes in Italy. And my interest, research interest, lies somewhere at the boundaries between law, complexity theory, and computational social science in a period in which the availability of data and the computational heuristics allows us probably to gain a deeper understanding of what's going on in the real world in society, talking about phenomena that are relevant also for legal science. And my activity, I'm moving basically into parallel direction. On the one hand, I'm developing tools. I like to work with computer scientists. Today, I'm here in the Department of Computer Science. There are various colleagues I'm working with. I'm interested in developing new tools, mixing, combining network analysis, machine learning, agent-based simulation to understand legal phenomena, or to create analytic platforms allowing legal scholars to better understand the legal world. And another part of my work is more, I would say, fundamental, is related to the idea that possibly we should rethink about the very object of legal science in a period in which science and technology allows us to see new dimensions of the real world, or the social world. And this is relevant also for legal science, and that's my point.
Thank you. Jonathan, I call you father of Billy the Bot. We have a running joke. Jonathan volunteered for our first episode, so I may call him a nickname. Can you briefly tell our listeners today what you're currently doing and why you're so interested in this topic we're discussing today?
Thank you. Thanks for involving me today. Jonathan Mashkew with Clark's Room, and as you say, Billy Bots is the world's first AI tech bot, Junior Clark, which is helping people understand and recognise that there's an alternative route for legal advice. One of the reasons that I've been asked to get involved today, or wanted to get involved, was the introduction of the online courts, which is having a significant impact in relation to how people can engage with their legal dispute. and how we as a business are looking to provide solutions, whether that be alternative dispute resolution through ADR or mediation, whether that be through, I suppose, the commoditization of some of law, or unbundling some of the products, how AI can help that route, and how lawyers need to adapt in relation to the route for online courts. A little bit of an update, you know, the part of the process has been happening through the Lord Justice Briggs review, and the small money claims started, you know, last week. So it's happening, and we need to be aware of what is happening. And across the globe, we can have and look at the alternative route, which is Canada or wherever it might be across the globe, as to how they're keeping people away from court and using the alternative routes prior to issuing claims and cases that grow out of proportion. And what happens is that in our experience, clients are put off from taking legal advice. So the access to justice discussion becomes much wider. That's where we're at today, and Billy is playing an important role in the route for access to justice. That's our view.
Thank you, Jonathan. Let me jump right into things, mapping the landscape. Would each of you try, you know, if you see a picture in your eyes against the background, which areas are actually affected most of the changes? I have a list here. What we found out so far is I just give you my list, which is just our picture now, but you will basically improve the picture. We took down blockchain, we took down online dispute resolution, we took down contracts, including artificial intelligence contracting tools. So these are the three big areas we've met so far, plus legal research and education as a whole. These are kind of the 4 bullets we have so far, but I would just try to pick your brain a bit. Mr. Bhoopathi, would you like to start again? Where do you see currently, let's say, the, or if we go 7 years back from now, maybe 7, 5, 10, can't really say how quick this goes, but in the imminent, not too distant future, still in our lifetime, and most of our younger people's working time as well, which are the areas, to be blunt, where lawyers will be likely to be replaced by machines, or have a substantially different approach to work? Would you try to give some freestyle mapping exercise if you share some of your insight?
Sure, Dr. Carsten, absolutely. So, in fact, law is not only the industry, but you get a better perspective when you look at other industries as well, how this automation is impacting the jobs and also general life in society. So, a bit early, it started in medical field, because the intensity of the data and the processing, the need for understanding, reading and understanding of humongous amount of data is needed in medical as well, because doctors need to go through tons of reports in order to first assess the disease condition and then recommend a customized or more appropriate medication. So a few years back, when Watson from IBM has taken up the job of reading radiology reports and then process them and understand, that the initial breakthrough happened in the sense that, okay, there is AI can be deployed into understanding tons of data and then come up with a customized medical treatment plan. So then that's the trigger actually, and then that eventually been implemented in other industries as well. So what kind of jobs or what specific areas are prone to automation? Where all, I would say, the algorithmic jobs, anything that can be put into an algorithm. So any such as simple logic, that works mostly in industrial spectrum. But in terms of if you think of law or medicine, and journalism. So in these industries, it's predominantly reading tons of data. For example, Watson could read the entire Wikipedia over 12 gigabytes of data, text, pure text, millions of pages of text, and then answer any question out of it. So similarly, in medical field, radiology has tons of imaging reports, and it's practically not possible for a human doctor to go through those reports and see what is exactly matching to the customer current patient in hand. But an AI can do that. So similarly, in law, when it comes to reading all the cases and then identifying the relevant case, or then mapping that case to the judgment process, complete process, that is very simple for AI, and increasingly difficult for human lawyers, because the data is growing, the access to information is growing. So when it comes to putting the algorithmic work, anything that can be put into an algorithm, lawyers should avoid that. It should definitely going to be automated 100%. In fact, a couple of years back, a research study from Law Society stated that about 50% of the law firms are already using some or other form of artificial intelligence. So, and it is going to take grow even further. So what we need to take from this at this outset is look into jobs, or look into areas that are heuristic in nature, in the sense where we can use our creativity, empathy, or even providing some experience to the customers. So it's not only about just getting all your data, processing it, and for finding a judgment, or passing the information to some other lawyer or judge. It's not only about that. How do you empathize your customer or your client, and then how you can use creativity to give him multiple options. So giving an experience is a whole new economy coming up in every industry, not just in law. In fact, law may be a bit behind in the journey, but if you talk about financial services, retail, CRM, experience is going to be an industry itself. How if everything is going to be automated, what humans do, because we want to get multiple experiences, and then creating that experience and offering that experience is something humans are really good at. So that's one way to look at it. Other things that I want to point out in this discussion today is predominantly about not being afraid of this AI revolution, because we see that AI is everywhere, but at least from the initial experience, we get to know that AI is not able to survive on its own. Now, we have recently seen about the fake news on social media scenario, how fake news is impacting the society, how it is creating an imbalance and influencing elections. So they are bots. The robot has got a fixed agenda, and it tries to only work towards meeting that target, or a specific KPI, specific objectives are stated in an algorithm. No matter what happens to the society, no matter what happens to the humans, no matter what is the consequence, AI or a chatbot or an algorithm is going to work towards meeting the goal itself. So because of that inherent limitations, we see this fake news impacting social media today. We also heard about Microsoft's Twitter chatbot a few years back, the Twitter chatbot called Tay, which was expected to be a good-natured teenage girl. As soon as it was deployed, soon it started learning all abusive language, become racist, sexually oriented, and Microsoft had to brought it down because the inherent algorithms, whatever set, were not really perfect. So looking at this, all the big organizations have understood that AI is not, as a standalone, is not enough to deal with the societal problems. So the new phenomenon is emerging today that supports human in the loop AI. So basically, whatever AI we have in place there should be a human to monitor that. There should be a human to control or even raise alarm whenever it is deviating. So this is the reason now corporations like Facebook and Google are recruiting people to do that job. Facebook has announced that they're adding 3,000 people to police the content. So these are the new kind of jobs emerging now. Now they were never there before. And Google is hiring around 10,000 people across all its departments to clean up YouTube, because YouTube content, to some extent you can monitor, but some of the elements AI cannot control, and only humans can see and find out whether it is appropriate or not. We can also use crowdsourcing to build this concept of human in the loop methodology. So there is nothing to be worried. It's just that the wave of automation is making some imbalance in the society. So we need to adapt, first understand, then adapt to it. At a high level, leave all the algorithmic work, adapt the heuristic work. Further, we discuss later in the call, but this is what I would like to say now.
Thank you very much. I realized that we have Roop Matila joining also. I think, Roop, you have the best office of us all. From here, it looks if you're sitting out in nature with a clear blue sky somewhere in or in the US.
No.
Where the heck are you? On a farm, on a ranch?
Yeah. First of all, I apologize. I'm a little bit late. My Brussels time was a little bit off on my calendar. I'm actually here. I have a lemon tree here, which gives away I'm not in Finland. Way too cold there.
Now the picture is
I'm now
big screen. I see. Yeah.
yeah. I'm usually based in New York, but now I've been a little while. Last half year I've been on the West Coast, and something that is actually not even on my LinkedIn or anywhere yet. I'm actually, it was mentioned here. Google was mentioned here as well. So I'm working for them at the moment as well, and they're really cool about working on my company on the side as well. So mostly working on AdWords, but also being a little bit involved now in the development of Google Home as well, which is kind of a overlapping area, and that's what I'm working on the moment. My company first, also helping some venture capitalists, sourcing companies for them. Legal AI is there on their map now as well. They're looking for those companies, if not investing in big flocks, but still on their map, then they want to know what's going on, especially anything overlapping with financial technology, and then helping other legal technologists and entrepreneurs as much as I can. That's another thing I like to do as much as I can. So please, anybody online or anybody here, if you find any way I could help you, I'm always happy to find ways or find people that could help you eventually. Always happy to do that.
So first of all, thank you very much for sharing your current location to us. Especially Mark Zuckerberg said earlier today that he won't give away the information where he spent last night in the hotel. So because that was the first tenant asking him today, because that was his private information. That's what it's all about. So thank you very much to let us a glimpse into your hideaway place. Just to round to come back to this first round. Where do you see the coolest areas, basically, or let's put that way, the areas of most rapid change currently? You work in the legal field as well, plus technology. Where are machines eating away the jobs, to put it in such a more threatening way?
So it's up to me. I didn't hear you before.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay. It's up to me.
You can join in as well.
No. Absolutely. I didn't realize you were talking with him. Sorry.
Okay. Sure. I could. My brief answer to that would be, at the present moment, where would be like the most. We can already see some applications that are are kind of relatively successful, that is like kind of like can be even like basic, like even borderline AI applications that you just follow this logic tree of things that can be done in simple legal matters. It's not really like, it's a relatively old thing as well to implement. We can see those, but in terms of like more advanced AI techniques, which I'm more of a proponent of solving problems than implementing technology for unnecessary reasons. But considering that the technology is not going backwards, it's whatever the percent is that it is now, that it's eating up from legal work, is not going to go down ever, I think. So anybody in denial that it would not eat up that work is whether it's like making your work more efficient, having more tools, or automating certain aspects. The market can get bigger, but the percentage itself is, I can't see it getting any lower, especially in natural language processing. That's the one part of AI that I think is lacking behind. I think that's the one area that we still haven't had the same breakthrough than machine vision or deep learning. We still haven't got those headlines out there where NLP is taking over. At Google, it's nearing almost 50% that the searches on Google are actually AI, deep learning based, not algorithmic. That used to be the case. And what used to be the crown jewel, the secret sauce of what Google was doing, and now that algorithm is like dumped and just putting in this black box of deep learning, and they just trust that it because it just works better. They're even not sure why it works better fully, but it does. So that's kind of eating up what Google used to be and what they built their business on for 20 years. Even that business is now transforming to this new technology, and that is going to come to smaller areas, what we could call the legal industry as well at some point. That this is, and we have great examples, what Gross Intelligence is doing, and perhaps some LexisNexis and other bigger companies are want to imitate in certain respects. So you can see this is like wave of changes. One specific area, it probably will be something that we're not even fully sure that it will be. I've seen great applications of something that is bordering financial technology. I just want to mention this because I find it so fascinating and interesting. So if it's not legal research, or let's say, I love the business of lead generation. Jonathan Maskew is here. I guess he knows even more about that. I love that side of the business. But then there is also this great business that, for example, Scopus Labs is doing, that they predict what kind of legislation and regulation is going to be passed. And that's really valuable information. Just to throw that idea out there and kind of visualizing it, it's practically having a crystal ball and a little bit seeing in the future what's going to happen and how the business environment is going to change. And that is really valuable information for many stakeholders out there. You don't have to use too much imagination how important and valuable information like that would be. Just what we humans do, that we predict, we see small signals and cues, and try to predict what's going to happen next in the social environment, in the physical environment. But we can't predict what kind of legislation is going to get passed. And markets are not that good at that either. They overestimate or underestimate. But machine learning, taking those insights from big data, it can do it, something that we humans can. And that's one exciting area that I've seen lately.
Thank you very much. Professor Lettieri, can you give us a bit your view where we're heading in the legal sector? And Bhoopathi, would you please mute your microphone? We're having a little audio trouble here currently.
I thought I did that already. Okay.
Okay. First of all, just one consideration. I find that the topic of legal prediction, quantitative legal prediction, there are different works in this area, extremely interesting. At the same time, from a scientific point of view, there's a problem somewhere in this area, because one thing is predicting what's going on using machine learning and huge amounts of data, and another things from a scientific point of view. I'm obviously here. I'm here talking about it from the research point of view. Another thing is gaining a real explanatory understanding of what's going on in a given phenomenon, crime, or the impact of regulation, and so on and so forth. Anyways, it is an extremely interesting research area, and one of the problems is that very often we do not have so much opportunities to create a connection between the legal research questions and the tools and the methodologies that could be helpful for us to frame our research questions in a different ways. Another point, another claim, I'm absolutely interested in exploiting artificial intelligence. I'm right now using machine learning to study the structure, to detect patterns in the structure of criminal organizations, mixing network analysis and machine learning. But at the same time, probably what is more fascinating for me is trying to adopt the augmented intelligence rather than artificial intelligence paradigms. The idea is to put together the best part of human beings, the intuition, the ideas, the culture, the technical knowledge, and the power of data and of analytics. You shared with us a question about the future, what we see in the future of the legal world 7 years from now. It's clearly, probably in the near future, many of the activities we currently do by means of human legal experts, many of these activities will be carried out by AIs, or anyway, software and tools more or less autonomous and intelligent. There are different topics I would like to mention here. One of this is that is interesting also from the strictly legal point of view, is the one of automated law enforcement. The more we move into virtual environment where our activities are mediated by software tools, the more it is probably necessary to make reference to the concept of techno regulation. The concrete protection of legal interests is going to be promoted and concretely realized by means of softwares and tools. And this is the crucial, the concept used by the philosopher of law, Roger Brownsworth from UK, is normative regulatory environment. And this is extremely challenging because these environments will be that are basically software infrastructure preventing users, for example, to make wrong things or illegal things, will be and should be created by computer scientists and legal scholars together and lawyers together. And this is probably one of the most interesting frontiers of the future that brings also concrete positive law problems. It is extremely interesting. There are obviously many other areas in the future where human beings in the legal field will be somehow supported, if not completely substituted, by tools. First of all, I think, first of all, to research activities. So intelligent information retrieval tools, tools for the analysis or the visualizations or the investigation of legal corpora or social activity. I will try to make later on a more bold claim on the need of a much higher level of attention of legal scholars towards the real world, social dynamics, the empirical world. Then probably another interesting area is the development of new tools for automated decision making in non-discretionary activity. This is probably another area in which there will be also room for new jobs, probably. You made a question in the mail you showed us, where will machines remain mere tools? Well, I think the machines should remain always tools, but also this also depends on us. Because if you are able to understand, to control a tool, you can say that this is a tool. Otherwise, the tool will control you. It is let me say, not because I'm a researcher, this is a cultural issue. And it is important to stress this. And this problem has also a huge impact on the education in university and not only. So that's all.
Thank you very much. Laura, this is your favorite one, I know.
If I may say something, no, just I was really interested, of course, in everything you said, all of you, because, of course, we went by machine learning, artificial intelligence, computational science, and everything. But I would like you to be a little more, all of you, to be a little more pragmatic, because me, I just graduated in law, and right now I'm an intern in MC Academy, but I don't know how I should be acting for my future career and everything. I have some basic of like programming, but they are really, really basic and just about Python. But like, I don't know what I should do and what a lawyer should be in the future. In particular, we talk about creativity, empathy, and regulation. So our lawyers and will be lawyers involved in designing platforms, in ensuring fairness and equality, and moreover in regulating also the future of this artificial intelligence. I'm thinking about personhood, the problem of personhood, and everything. So I would like you to focus and be a little more, all of you, more pragmatic and focus on the future career of mine, but also the other generations that are coming after me.
Jonathan, would you like to start looking ahead?
Yeah, yes.
What will be left to do for Laura?
Yes.
Everything is run by Billy, Bot, and Hercules, to be very close
Laura,
to her.
Laura, I think you make a very good point, Laura. I think the issue, and I've written some notes, because I think it's really important to understand that the client journey for legal advice will change, and how do our lawyers of tomorrow or tomorrow's lawyers adapt to that? It's really, we've seen this wave of change very quickly. 7 years from now, I would expect you to be offering empathy with clients. Surely we will not cut out the human-to-human element that's really necessary, as and when appropriate. But along that journey, we'll see much more unbundled products, commoditizing parts of the process, which typically you would have done, Laura, and you would have done 3 or 4 years ago. Increasingly, you'll see less of that, because the clients will say, I can get this free, I can get it online when I want it, any day, any place, anywhere, typically sourced by artificial intelligence and the bot. And they are becoming, in every framework of business, they're becoming much more intuitive and used by the next generation of lawyers and clients. And why would the business of law be any different? It won't be. So 7 years from now, I can see you qualified, having a busy practice in whatever area it is, but you will have to refine what you do. If typically my background is barristers, so they're at the advocacy end. So they're very much about the court work. But from your perspective, in my view, there'll be new challenges for you, but new areas of work, intellectual property, social media, all those sorts of, there'll be growth areas, huge areas for someone like you. But that journey will be very different. So that's just, appreciate we've got a lot of people that can comment on that. That's just my quick view on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've waited half a year after reading this book to put this question now. Mr. Bhoopathi, get ready, please. I'm quoting directly from the conclusion section of the book. Note, it's still very worthwhile reading the entire book because there's lots of interesting ideas in it. So at page 222, which is right the last but one page of your book, you say, one of the most important skills of the 21st century is techno literacy. Irrespective of the industry you're in, you have to know the digital technologies, just like driving a 250 horsepower car is like. You have the power of 250 horses at your disposal. You will have 250 minds at your disposal with AI in your hand. When you use this, you become more powerful, and no individual machine can dominate or take your presence at your workplace, which is a very positive outlook. Now comes my critical question. Is Laura, is the individual actually able to assemble the, or to use the tool, as Professor Lettieri said, to use the, or will it rather be the owner of Billy Bot, the owner of Herculex, the entrepreneur who invested into building such a platform, while the individual lawyer doesn't really have the access, you know, to use this, but rather becomes part, you know, like an annex, or I would even say, if you know the works by Jason Lanier, he says, don't become, are we all becoming gadgets, right? So just challenging the conclusion of your book, which I know is naughty, but you know, we have the chance, and you explicitly ask for developing your book further. What would you say on that question, Mr. Bhoopathi?
Right, Gaston. Well, I see, I'm actually thrilled to see the results of that statement, right? You know, it says that, you know, it's absolutely necessary for every individual to be techno literate. And that example of having the horsepower, right? You know, we have the high-end cars at our disposal. So 250 horsepower car means you have 250 horses equivalent of power at your hand. So you can use that power. Similarly, very soon we have this AI at our disposal. Like we already are using virtual assistants, right? They can traverse through the internet, answer questions, whatever you have. So that kind of power, AI at our disposal, how do we use it? Let me tie that up with the idea that right now, a few minutes back, I spoke about that human in the loop, right? So while AI is there, it is not enough. So we have seen that time and again, that AI alone is not really good for society. In fact, it is destructive for society. So how can you be that human who will be in the loop? So that's a single suggestion I can make today, that, you know, try to be that human. So you are going to be that human who's going to be in the loop with the AI. So it involves two suggestions. One is, first, you have to use technology. You have to know how to use technology, how to leverage the power of AI, number one. Then, given that you already know how to use the technology, how to leverage the power of AI, and how do you monitor that? And you have to become that human who is always in the loop to monitor, control, and even to some extent spread the voice and make society aware of impending benefits and dangers. So if you perform these two functions, I'm sure you have a bright future and career in law firm or anywhere else in any other industry.
Wow, this is a lot of encouragement today. Laura is just digesting all the good news. Bro, the man from the countryside, which is, I'm just wondering why we're sitting in here. It's so cool to have a professor in an office, somebody, and somebody. I'm just amazed about this technology. Rob, give us your view. You're a traveler from Finland to the US. You're a global guy like Mr. Bhoopathi. What do you think? Where will be the new jobs? I mean, everybody won't be so cool as you are currently, I guess. But for the average student trying to start law school now, should they all become coders, or should they learn some music to develop their creativity a bit more? Or what would be your career advice for the young generation now, or for the guys in the first years of their profession?
Sure. And by the way, this is it looks like countryside. It's a backyard garden. It's but we're still. It's I would say it's still in the heart of Silicon Valley, but it is so spread out, so you get a different view. So I totally agree what you actually touched there earlier already. Just to like personalize that advice that I agree 100% is that legal profession in many ways, the same way that medical profession has always provided and attracted people that try to find certain security and safety in having that profession that has been there forever and probably will be in some form. I would go to your personal preferences in a little bit. The same way that you're managing risk in your work, you would think that how much risk I'm like willing to take. So for some people, especially people I meet here or somewhere in the startup circles, people are willing to take a lot of risk. And for them, I would say, you can go all in. You can take this. You can look ahead a little bit, and you can struggle for a couple of years and go all in for legal technology if that's your thing, and you see a good avenue there. But for somebody that is a lawyer now, or like graduating soon, I would say that start with 10%. Put your 10% of your energy and time that you think on your own about your profession and on your future. Put 10% of the time to legal technology and learn about these technologies. And bump it up to 20% when you're more comfortable with it. And think about like how much. I think you're gonna be okay in 5 years if you don't do anything about it. After that, I can't promise you anything if you're not up to date what's going on there. So I would at least have that 10% for all lawyers out there that put the energy and time to learning about this new wave of technology that is finally finding its way to, like, sometimes I call legal industry the last frontier of technology. Like in every other, like in the stock market, it's mostly bots. Even in medical profession, there is a history of technology taking over certain jobs. For us, it's a new thing, and be ready for it, and think about your risk portfolio in a sense, that how much you would be willing to invest your time for what's coming up. So
thank you. I have another question. Probably I would go to Professor Lettieri, and I would like to then, we talked about spending time, and like Bhoopathi was saying 10% of your time in learning technologies, but what is the future of education then? Like we have already an idea what is maybe the future of career and everything, but about university and all the institutions that are involved in education and research, what is the future for them?
Yeah, first of all, one consideration, you mentioned before Python programming. This is absolutely useful. You can use Python to make so many things, parsers, whatever. But the point is not simply learning a programming language, but rather acquiring a way of looking, thinking computational, start thinking about legal issue, exploiting theoretical constructs, way of thinking, procedures coming from different disciplines and also from computer science. I've been working several years ago to the development on, for example, a serious game simulating the civil procedure and trials to teach a civil procedural law. So you simulate civil trials with an online role-play game, and you learn civil procedure. There are so many things you can do. Very often I say to my colleagues and also my students, I greet them, probably they're online right now, that probably in this period you can come up every day and in the low tech, legal tech field, and come up with a new idea, a new creation. There's so many things to do. There are opportunities to create tools to support information retrieval, criminal investigation, whatever, even anthropology or law, if you exploit sentiment analysis. It depends on your research questions or your activities. So it depends very much on the kind of lawyer you are. What's your interest in? Where are you working? You can exploit, for example, simulations to support a regulatory impact analysis, but many things are still to be created. There's a lack of know-how that is mainly a hybrid know-how. We'll need more and more people with a hybrid background capable of putting together insights from different disciplines. So you have on the one hand the legal problems, concrete, also traditional legal problems, and new solution. It's a strongly creative. You need a high level of creativity to make this. So a suggestion is to expose yourself to the higher level possible of experiences and ideas and skills and of people belonging to other research areas. Computer scientists, first of all, we are here talking about, first of all, about computer science. But let me say, I found extremely beneficial to talk with physicists and cognitive scientists, and I found in their way of making their jobs, new ideas to make my job. And I have a legal background, as I told you before. So, in my view, I'm not a researcher in the legal informatics. I'm a lawyer. I'm a jurist. Obviously, today I exploit the tools that science technologies can provide me with. This is the idea. From the point of view of research, what can I say? I will distinguish two different levels. We have data, computational heuristics, and theoretical constructs coming from many different disciplines. And we have, on the other hand, legal issues and legal problems. The impact of the evolution of science and technology unfolds on different levels. The first one is, I would say, methodological. We have new ways to do traditional things. We can create new tools supporting legal scholars in searching legal information, for example, in evaluating in a quantitative way the relevance of a case law, for example. But there's also another part, in my view, a more interesting part of the medal, that is probably the availability of new tools, new informations, data, new heuristics allows us, probably, it should push us to change the very object of our research. I would say, if you look at the history of science, the availability of new instruments has completely changed entire areas of research. Because when the radio telescope was created, a new area of physics came up. And this is probably real also for the legal science, that, as I was saying before, will become more empirical. We can today, and I teach law and computational social science, we have new way to investigate social matters, social dynamics. I can exploit diffusion, the algorithms that you can use to exploit, to analyze the diffusion of innovations on networks. I can exploit this kind of algorithms and this kind of way of treating data to study the diffusion of norms. And this could be extremely interesting for us if you want to support the regulatory impact analysis, for example. So it's really a challenging period. There are so many things to do. So we'll be absolutely optimistic.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of minutes left. So I would suggest that each of you gives one sentence of a pragmatic, motivating recommendation for everybody who wants to be successful in racing with the machines. I quote from the race forward. When you dream, you cease to live. That's the initial suitable part. One sentence, please, everybody, to give to our listeners and wish them a wonderful rest of the day.
So it's going to start. I would say talk with everyone and remain a lawyer. I will push towards the cross-fertilization. We need a new ways to make research in legal field. Strongly non-disciplinary research to remain legal scholars in the right way today.
Thank you. Rob Martila.
In one sentence, on a professional and a psychological level, please, for your own benefit, embrace the new world of legal technology.
Thank you, Jonathan. Over to you.
Thank you. Passionate about the opportunities. They're incredible. Make it happen. Make it happen.
Distinguished author, please, you have the final word.
Well, I still stick to my guns. The original message of my book: race with the machines, not against them.
Thank you very much to all of you. This has been an inspiring session. I think we all agree. Have a good week. Hope to meet again or talk to each other soon in one or other ways. And you can listen to this seminar on YouTube as well. Once this is over here, I think it goes live every minute. So if you want to hear and see and recap a bit what we've been discussing, please feel free. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.